Okay. Good morning, class. Hope you had a good weekend. We are math masters. We was learning to be math masters. As you can see in your photo up there on your Mr. Magic, I'm Miss Moore with FDDOC. We have 7 middle school math skills that students must learn, and we have been over some of them. We have went over orders of operation. We've been over proportions, integer operations, solving equation, and today's lesson is going to be measurement of central tendencies. I'm going to show you a small video on mean, median, mode, and range. This will be some key tips to help you master your math skills. Take out your paper and your pen and put it to the side so you can take you some notes. Get ready, we're about to start the video.
Data can be described by its center and its spread. You can use the mean, median, and mode to describe the center of the data. Or you can use range, interquartile range, and mean absolute deviation to describe how far the data is spread apart. Now in this video, we're going to take a look at these 3 measures of center, and we'll take a look at range. Now students will often confuse these 3 words because they look so similar. Here's a couple of tricks to help you remember which one is which. So the mode looks a lot like most, and they both start with MO. And that's the most common appearing piece of data in a data set. The median is the middle piece of data, and just think of the median in a highway, the middle of a highway. The mean is the average of all the data, and it's the meanest or the hardest of the 3 to find. So let's just dive right in and find some of these measures of center and spread. Now to save a little time, I've already put these numbers in order, and that's the first thing you want to do when you have a data set, is to place all the numbers in order from least to greatest, and that'll help you to find these different measures. So the mode is easy. There is no number that appears more than once. There's actually no mode in this data set. Now be careful you don't put 0. That's a common mistake that kids will make, because if you put 0, you're saying 0 is the most common number, and we don't even have a 0 in that data set. So you would write none or no mode. The median is the middle number, and because the numbers are all in order, it's easy to find the middle. 23 is our middle number. Now again, a common mistake that kids will make, they don't put the numbers in order from least to greatest, and they just circle whatever numbers in the middle. 6 would not be your median of this data set. Now the average, if we add up all these 5 numbers, you would end up with, we had 6 and we had 20, 23, 37, and 64. That would add up to 150. And we would divide by 5 because there are 5 numbers in our data set. So our mean, or our average, would be 30. And the range is really easy to find. Again, because all the numbers are in order, it makes it easy to find. We're going to take our highest piece of data, which is 64. We're going to subtract our lowest or our smallest piece of data, which is 6, and that would be 58. All right, let's take a look at another data set. So here's some pieces of data, and I've already put them in order from least to greatest. You would want to write these on the line. The mode. Now I see here we have 2 zeros and we have 3 5s. So our mode is actually 5. The number that appears the most in that data set is 5. The middle number, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cross off 2 at the end, 2 here, 2 here, and we end up with a tie. We have 2 numbers in the middle, and since they're both 5s, our middle number, or our median, is 5. To find the average, we would have to add up all 10 of these numbers, And if you were to add up all 10 of these numbers, it comes out to 48. And there are 10 numbers, and 48 divided by 10 is 4.8. So our average, or our mean, is 4.8. The range, the high minus the low, would just be 12 minus 0, so that's 12. Let's take a look at another set of data. Again, I've already put them in order from least to greatest. We'll start with the mode. Remember, mode is the most common appearing number. And here you'll notice we have 2 6s, we have 2 11s. You can have 2 modes. That would be bimodal. You could even have 3 modes. So 6 and 11, we have 2 modes in that data set. The middle number, let's find out what the middle number is. I'm going to work my way to the middle. Now we have a tie, and we have a tie between 6 and 9. So what we do is we're going to take the average of 6 and 9. So 6 plus 9 is 15, and 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So our median for this data set is actually 7.5. The average, we would add up all these numbers, and if you add up all these numbers, you'll end up with 64, and there are 8 numbers in the data set, so we would divide 64 by 8. So our mean, or our average, would be 8. And the range is the high piece of data minus the low, and 19 minus 0 would be 19. We have a range of 19. All right, let's do 2 more. Now here we have some data, and it's in a table. So what I've done is I've taken all these pieces of data from the table, and I've put them in order from least to greatest. We have 6 pieces of data. We'll start with the mode, the most common, and we do have a mode here. We have 213, so the most common piece of data is 13. The median, let's see what the middle number is. Well, we've got a tie again between 9 and 12. So I'm going to take 9 plus 12 is 21, and I'm going to take the average of those 2 numbers, so I need to divide by 2. It'd be 10.5, or 10.5. So the middle piece of data is actually 10.5. The average, well, if we were to add up all 6 of these numbers, we would end up with 51, and there are 6 numbers, and 51 divided by 6 is actually 8.5. So our mean, or our average, is 8.5. And then the range, real easy to do. We're going to take the high piece of data, 13, minus the lowest piece of data, 2. It would be 11. All right, let's take a look at one final example. Now this time we're going to pull our data from a line graph. So here we have one piece of data is 10. The next piece of data is 50. And then we have 100 and 100. So we have 4 pieces of data, and I've put them in order from least to greatest. Let's start with the mode. Well, we do have a most common piece of data, which would be 100. The middle piece of data, well, we have a tie between these 2 numbers, so we need to add them together, which is 150. We divide by 2. We're taking the average of these 2 numbers, and that would be 75. So our median is actually 75 in this data set. The average, if I were to add up 100, 150, and 10, I would get 160. I'm going to divide by 4 because there's 4 pieces of data, and 160 divided by 4 is 40. So our mean, or our average, is 40. And last but not least, to find the range, we take the high piece of data minus the low. Our range of data would be 90. So that's how you find the measures of center, or the measures of central tendency.
Why you there?
Even have a zero.
Okay, I'm just going to take a minute to go back over the mode, median, mean, and range to make sure that you understand how to get the mode, the median, the mean, and the range. Let's look at this example right here. That's the mode. The mode is the number that appears more than once. We have 4 numbers here. What number that appeared more than once? We see that the 100 appeared more than once. It appears twice in the 4 digits that are there, 4 sets of that. So that means that our mode is 100. Let's look at the mean, the median. The median appears the number in the middle, but we have 2 numbers in the middle. So if we had another number in between the 50 and the 100, that would be our median. But since we don't have one, we have the even side, we have even numbers on both sides. So we have a 50 and we have a 100. So we take that 50 and 100 and add it together and we get 150. We're going to take that 150 and we're going to divide it by 2, which will give us 75. Now let's look at the mean. The mean is you add up all the numbers and you divide it by 4. So right here, if we add 100, 150 plus 10 will give us 260. Now our instructor made a little mistake in his addition. He came up with 260, but it actually supposed to be 260 instead of 160. And we divide that by 4. So if we divide 4 by 260, 260 will give us 80. So we add that up, and it's supposed to be 260 instead of 160 divided by 4, which will give us 80. Do you understand the mean? That's the mean. Now let's look at, anybody got any questions on that? Okay, let's look at the range. The range is where you take the smallest number and you subtract it from the highest number. So we have a 10 here. So we're going to subtract 10 from 100, which is going to give us 90. So your range is 90. Do everyone understand that? So we know how to find our mode, we know how to find our median, and we know how to find our mean and our range. So I'm going to take you back for a short worksheet that you will work on. Okay, class, now, here's your worksheet. You can pause your video. We're going to work on your worksheet for a few minutes, and then we're going to come back and we're going to go over a few of your answers. One step I want to tell you before you get started, as we said in the video, first thing we want to do is put them in order, which will make it easier for you to figure out your mode, your mean, and your range. So you want to do that on your strat sheet while you're working, figure that out, and so it'd be much easier for you to find those numbers. So go ahead and get started. All right, class, welcome back. Let's look over your sheets. Let's look at number 1. We have 24, 31, 12, 38, 12, and 15. If you range those in order from the least to the greatest, you shouldn't have a problem in figuring out your mode, your median, your mode, the median, means, and the range. Now, for our mean, can someone tell me what answer did you get for the mean? Okay, 22, that is correct. What about our mode? The mode is 12. Because what? Why is it 12? It appears that is correct. Let's look at our median. We add them all up and we divide it, and what did we get? 19.5 is correct. And our range. We subtracted the lowest from the highs, and we got 26. Did everyone get that? Great job. Did anybody have any questions so far? Okay, that's the lesson for today. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you on the next lesson.